Oh, I'm just reading one of my books. This is about the spring. And now that the autumn is coming, I thought I should refresh myself by reading about the spring.
Oh wow, this is one of my favorite books as well. I would really like to ask you some questions about some of the poems in the book.
That'd be great. What poem or poems were you thinking about, Shabazz?
Oh, one of the poems in the very beginning, and the picture goes really well with it, really resonates with me. It's about hands needing comfort in the spring.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that poem was I was particularly economical with words. I used so few words, I almost felt I couldn't publish such a short poem, but the picture sort of made it. The picture is excellent, the two working together. And it's very simple. It just simply says, spring, hands need comfort that other seasons don't demand. Well, it just seems that in springtime, hands seem to just seek each other out, and everyone is holding hands, and the hands seem to demand that extra little bit of warmth. It just seems to come with the spring. But I thought the photo really sort of summed up that closeness and that warmth that comes over people in the spring.
Yes, indeed. So there's another short poem, and again a beautiful picture that goes with it. It's newborn eggs.
Oh, yes. Josh, you've got a knack for picking out the short ones that you can see I'm not paid by the word. And anyhow, newborn eggs warm the straw nest with the loving warmth of life's spirit goodness. Well, you know, there's just something about eggs. And if you ever handled eggs, robin's eggs or even chicken eggs, and they're just fresh, and there's a warmth that comes from them, it's the warmth of life beginning. And it's really quite incredible. And I thought this picture that actually you found for me really summed up the spirit of that moment, and also needed to be included in the spring. These events are associated with the spring.
Oh, I really love the quotations included alongside the poems.
Yes.
And one of my most favorite ones, hear the silent symphonies of spring in the air.
Well, Shabazz, actually that's really quite fascinating to me, that line. It's as an orchestra, has so many players and so many different instruments, and they're all moving together. Now, they don't move silently, but the spring does have so many different people or plants or flowers that participate in the music of the spring. And we don't see it or hear it, we see it. But to me, it's a similar feeling of working together to create a harmony of sound or color or adventure. And it's just a very short little hear the silent symphonies of spring in the air. You know, I really like that line. It just sort of, I don't know where it came from, but there it is.
That's so beautiful. Well, so much of life in Vancouver is related to the sea.
Yes.
And we are sitting along the English Bay. So one poem in particular caught my attention, and it's Davidson's Dingy Spring.
Well, you know, you've hit on a good one there. That's one of my favorites. The Davidson Dinghy came out, in the late 40s, 50s. And the coastline of British Columbia is basically very rocky. There's not any sand or very few sandy beaches. And so people that are commuting to summer cabins or going back and forth to the shore, they need a boat that they can pull up on the rocks. And when the Davidson Dinghy made its appearance with a fiberglass hull, it was just the perfect answer to the problem. Previous boats with expensive wooden planks just didn't stand up to the rough usage. But the Davidson dinghy is absolutely ideal for this coast, and is very fun size and shape, and it comes with oars and also even with the sail. I like the sailing dinghy particularly. I particularly like sailing that sailing dinghy at night, where you could catch an offshore breeze that would just gently move you along in the darkness, and you could see the phosphorescence in the water all around. Really a splendid sensation. But many thanks to the Davidsons for bringing that dinghy to us. So I'd like to read that poem to you. Davidson Dinghy Spring, leaving winter storage, announce summer will be soon with us. This perfect boat for rocky shores helps warm the spring with fun. Bend your back with oars that hold their course. Some with sail can ghost along, particularly with an evening breeze that flows from shore, silently stirring phosphorescent showers, preventing sneak attacks. Pull this galleon onto beaches free of sand, no threat to damage to the hull. What a blessing this small craft has been. When I see one now, at any season, it brings the spring. Such a fine craft, and they're still very popular today. Gee, just on the opposing page is an interesting poem, A Sudden Spring Westerly. Well, we used to get, or we still do get, very strong westerlies at times, and they can come up out of nothing and really be very windy and white caps all around. So it's a bit of both a threat and a moment of joy for a sailor. But this poem, A Sudden Spring Westerly, bursts across the ocean, flooding speeds erratically that hit unpredictable boats of sail, knock the canvas flat to spill their wind. Sails lying on the water catch no wind. They pop back up. This wind leaves behind a fresh, clean air, energized with lingering excitement that often holds the promise of unexpected return. Yeah, when the poem speaks of the boats popping back up, the sail is like this, and it would be knocked over, and as the sail is knocked over, the wind spills out it, and it no longer is being pushed by the wind, and so the sails would pop back up again. Well, you know, Shabazz, there's another poem that's a sort of a favorite of mine that you might enjoy. It's called Here Come the Crocuses. Listen, listen, listen quietly. You can hear their first moves of spring. Soft and gentle, yet fiercely, they thrust skyward, moving as quietly as they can. Even so, they've wakened the daffodils. I can hardly wait for their banks of yellow tones and waxen perfumes. No question about it. Spring's earliest movements blossom my happy imagination for the life to come. Well, there's another poem. Well, I'm on a roll here. That's kind of fun, I think. Not to be hurried, the geese stand on one foot, then two, check a wing's feather, and then, with great dignity, do nothing. So here I am, sitting on a park bench, doing nothing, and I think I'm much the same as the geese.